Hi, I'm Liz from Pinhole Quilting, and we're going to just cover the most important bit, getting quilting. To get on with your quilting, it's really important to understand the balance between the top and the bottom tension. And that's why we cover this sort of theory in a lot more detail on our foundation workshops, because once people are confident changing out their thread, changing out their needles, they enjoy their quilting a lot more. And there's so many things that you can do on a Sweet 16. It's fantastic. So I've got my quilt sandwich here, and I've basted it together. There's options for basting. You've got the tag gun, the micro stitch, which takes either the white clear or the black tacks. You've also got 505 spray, 505, which is pretty quick to put on, or you've got your fusible wadding. Don't recommend pins. We've also got, on the Sweet 16 screen, we've got a basting stitch function. So let's just run through a few things on the screen. When we turn the power on, it comes up with a beep. On the left-hand side of the screen, if you don't have the true stitch, which is the optional stitch regulation, it should just say pedal HQ Sweet 16. Needle stop either in the up or the down position, and you can flip between those so that when you take your foot off the foot pedal, it stops either up or down. In the bottom left, you'll see a number. That number relates to the tension assembly here, which gives us a numerical readout, so that as we go lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, you can actually see the number increasing or reducing. And you can make a reference on that. So create a chart with different threads and perhaps the tension number that you've set it to for those threads. It'll give you an approximate starting point. It won't be necessarily exact because it depends on your bobbin tension, but it'll be close. Then we've got, in the middle, we've got a red with a 0.0. That's how much thread is left on your bobbin thread. If you set a bobbin alarm, when you put in a new bobbin, you can actually have it so that it counts down, and the number will be either recorded on there if you're doing a new bobbin, or as it counts down when you've put in a new bobbin to tell you when it's nearly out. This here, this sort of basting looking type stitch, that is the basting stitch. We can go from half a second, and we can go 3/4, 1, 1.5, 2 seconds delay. So that enables us, if I just do needle down, needle up, pull up the bobbin thread and do a couple of stitches. Let's just show you quickly the bobbin, the basting stitch. So if I put my foot on the foot pedal now, it'll pause for 3/4 of a second. And I can do a baste. So I could do like a grid baste. If I wanted to do a particular block and wanted to baste it a bit more fully than what it was done, then I can use that. Let's go back from that. To go flip between basting mode and normal speed is just pressing the same button again. Half step, this big long button in the middle with the needle showing 2 red arrows either up or down is needle up or down. Half step, if you keep your finger on it, it just goes slowly, like so. Then we've got the speed. The actual speed you're going at any particular time is shown in the top right. The maximum, the speed limit, if you like, is in the white box, and we can set it using the minus or the plus keys. So you can adjust it from where it is, and then you can also use the presets, which are kept, they mean that it's very quick for you to access slow, medium or fast speeds as you're using your machine. And when you turn it off and put it back on again, those will be remembered. If you want to, say, for example, increase the top speed from what I've got at the moment, 40%, increase the speed in the white box and then press the save icon, and then you've got that as your new preset. In the More button, we've got low bobbin alarm, where we can set for when we've put a new bobbin in. You can read about that in the manual. Timers, we've got a timer here so that it'll count down. If I press play, it'll go off and tell me that I need to go downstairs and start getting my my food ready or whatever, my cup of tea. It's a good idea to put it on every 20 minutes or half an hour. Just step away from the machine. You'll find your quilting so much more enjoyable. And then we've also got a number of hours that we've been quilting on the particular project. I can press reset and press play. So for example, if I wanted to know how many hours of quilting I'd put into my current project, then I would use that timer. It would tell me how much of actual quilting time I'd got. System information, this tells me the serial number, the version of the board that's in this machine, how many stitches I've done lifetime, and also, like a trip on your car, there's a project reset button there, so you can log how many stitches you've done. Also on the more is calculator, diagnostics, you can change it to French or Spanish or German if you wish, and that's about it. Options, we've got the volume, we can decide not to have a volume when we press these little buttons. We can have volume off if it's annoying. And we can change the brightness, so we can turn the lights on or off. Sometimes when you're taking a photograph of a quilt, you don't want the lights on. Okay, so that's everything on the Sweet 16 screens. It's a very, very straightforward machine to use, so it doesn't have lots of complex controls. Right, so we've put a new bobbin in. We've loaded some fresh top thread. We need to check and see what the tension is like. So let's do that. Let's just go through the process of how we approach bobbin tension and top thread tension. And what are we looking for? Our perfect stitch will be where it meets in the middle. On your sheet that you've got, which is headed up TNT, you're looking stitch formation here where the top green thread and the bottom lighter green thread match in the middle of our wadding. The thickness of the wadding does make a difference. That made me jump then, the timer expired. Gosh, that would make me want to go and get a cup of tea or maybe a stiff gin and tonic. So when we're doing a stitch, it's important that it meets in the middle, and the thicker our wadding, the easier it is to hide the stitches. If you try and quilt with a very, very fine wadding, it's going to be harder to hide that stitch, that knot, which is in the middle of your wadding. If you've got a thick one, perhaps even 2 layers of wadding, which is becoming quite common, where people want really defined quilting, then that's going to be easier. When you've got top tension too tight, you'll find your top thread is laying almost flat, and that looks really ugly. Again, and the alternative is if your top tension is too loose, you can actually see the top thread on the underside. So let's go ahead and do some stitching and see what ours looks like. So I'm going to hold the thread, the top thread, the pink thread, in my left hand, and using my right hand, I'm going to use the needle down and needle up button, which is in the center of my screen, and I'm going to pull up the bobbin thread. Then I'm going to do 2 or 3 stitches in the same place or just slightly apart, and then I'm going to do some stitching. I'm going to do circles and I'm going to do pointy things. There we go. And what I'm looking for is, can I see the top thread, the pink thread, on the back? There's a very, very small point one there, but can I see white thread on the top? Not a lot. So I'm pretty happy with that. That was a good guess. Let's just do a bit more. Points are common places for the bobbin thread to come up, so it's looking a little tight. Let's just see if I back it off just 5 minutes. So I've reduced the tension, it's still not showing on the back, so it's 360 at the moment. Start off at 370, let's go down to 350. Still can't see the top thread on the back, so that's good. And I'm going to back it off a little bit more, 330. So the idea of this is that I want to go a bit looser on the top so that it makes a nice stitch without seeing any of the bobbin thread, which is pretty much gone now. Still see a little bit of the bobbin thread coming through at the points. And I still haven't got any top thread coming through, so down to 260. Okay, tiny amount of top thread coming through there, but that looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's a nice stitch. Just checking, it's laying a little flat on some of the points. So, and the other thing I want to do is every now and then I just put my fingernails in that area of the bobbin of the tension assembly just to sort of stop it in case it's got stuck. Can very occasionally get stuck. Yeah, that's a nice stitch, like that. Okay, now, if we've got a problem and we've got too little top tension, let's just see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got pink thread showing really clearly, almost like a ladder. So that would be a significant amount of tension that we needed to increase it by. Up here, not like the bobbin tension, this is major changes, 1, 2 turns. Okay, I can still see a bit of top thread, so 215, 265. Yeah, and that's a small amount of top thread there. Increase the tension. So I'm increasing the top tension until it's gone. I'm now at 310. What about if it's too tight? I can break the thread. You can actually hear it really pulling up. The bobbin thread is really coming through to the top, and it just looks like it's laying flat. So those are the only things that you can really do. Increase the tension, decrease the tension. Don't be afraid to play with it. Wait till you've gone too far and then back it off, because then you know it's between point A and point B, it's somewhere between those 2 points. Much easier to work on that basis than it is to keep doing small increments. So on this machine, it's pretty easy to achieve a nice tension. But bear in mind that the way that you sew does have an impact on your tension. So for example, the smoother you sew, the better the delivery off the bobbin case and off the top thread, and over time your stitching and stitch quality is going to improve anyway. So don't sort of worry too much if you can't get absolutely perfect tension. Make things easy for yourself in the early days of having the machine by using the same color top and bottom, and then over time you will naturally improve your tension to the point where you can use different colors. That's everything I want to talk to you about tension at the moment. Just bear in mind that we will be doing one-on-one for this area, and if you are having any problems, I'm sure we can address those issues when we talk.